Guys, welcome back to another Lawn Care Millionaire video that we are doing with Naylor, the Lawn Care Rookie. And we are going to be doing the first of hopefully many virtual tours of Naylor's shop. So because he is already a YouTuber and we know that he can use a camera, he is going to be getting some B-roll footage for us of the shop that we'll be cutting into here. So credit to him for the video that is actually of his shop. And we are going to do our best to replicate the interviews that always happen when we are going out to people's shops here on this call. And we'll cut everything together and it'll come out and it will hopefully be amazing. If you're watching it, it's amazing.
Nice. Yeah, well, you're a good editor, man, so it's going to be amazing. So
I fingers crossed.
Awesome.
So just kind of thanks for bringing us virtually into your shop.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
No problem.
Just kind of walk us through generally how the shop is laid out, and what the kind of like the strategy and the planning that went into that.
Okay. Yeah, so when I first started, I was like a lot of people that I've referenced in some prior conversations we've had online, where I started in my garage, at my house. But we were living in an HOA, homeowners association, and they usually have a lot of rules. And one of the rules is you can't have trailers and boats and RVs and stuff just randomly parked out on
No
the street
fun
in front of
stuff
your
parked
house.
outside.
Yeah, no fun stuff. I mean, you can obviously park it temporarily for the day or whatever if you're loading up your boat or you're going on a trip or something, but you can't leave it there for days, like that's like your storage. You can't do that. That's just not appealing. It's not pretty. It's not cute. They want everything to be nice and pristine, in HOA. So I mean, it's good and bad, right? You don't have to worry about your neighbor looking like they have goats in their yard, wandering around eating the grass. You have to keep your grass mowed, has to be green, all that stuff. Same thing with you can't have all kinds of junk everywhere in your yard, and you can't have stuff in front. So because of that, I just had to keep everything in my garage starting off, because I was trying to minimize my expenses as much as possible, because I really didn't have much money. I was just trying to grow my business from zero, from zero. So I was trying to just be as conscious as possible with every expense. So anything I could, save money on, I would do. So for the first several years, I just backed my 5x10 trailer into our garage, and just unhooked it, and that was it, which was super easy, right? Because it was so time saving. I got really good at backing up trailers, backed it in, unhook it, pull forward, close the garage, we're done. And in the morning, open the garage, back in, hook it up, and leave. It felt like I had a real shop, right? But it was my house. So it is one of those things where, because it's your house, unless you have a big house or a big garage, no one else can have access to it. You know what I mean? I've got a big trailer in there. The kids couldn't really navigate, get their toys and all that. They can only play in the garage or in the driveway when I was at work. And so it interferes. There's a lot of overlap there where it interferes with your personal life. But then just naturally, I grew, my company grew, and I needed a bigger trailer and all that kind of stuff. So eventually I got an enclosed trailer, and I'm like, well, I can't back an enclosed trailer into my garage. That's not going to work. So, I mean, forward thinking, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to need to come up with other alternatives, looking for shop locations. And there really isn't anything like that in this area. Like some people have, like kind of like business industrial type areas where there's like buildings that, with like multiple bays and stuff that you can rent out, and even has office space. I've seen a lot of that in a lot of areas around the country because of social media. But there's nothing like that in my immediate area. There might be some stuff further away, but I'm not going to necessarily drive 20-30 minutes to get to my shop, and then come back. So I just had to look at all the local storage areas, different storage units, all shapes and sizes, and some of them have parking spaces in addition to storage units. So I found, and I looked at all of them over the winter several years ago, and I found the one that I'm currently in is the closest storage to where I live, as well as to my service area, which all goes hand in hand, because when I started my company, I started my business in my neighborhood. So like I lived in the maintenance free section of an HOA, so I couldn't couldn't help those people. I couldn't help my neighbors because we were all getting our lawn mowed by a local big commercial landscape company. But down the street in the other neighborhoods of the HOA, they had to maintain their own properties. So all of those people, I was able to mow their lawns. Like almost all of my 30 customers that I got were in the neighborhood I lived in. So I literally just drove down the street to work. It was pretty cool because it was close and convenient. If I forgot something or need to run, I would always go home for lunch or for the bathroom, whatever. I didn't have to kind of do a lot of the things that landscapers typically have to do because I was so close to home. But because of that, I realized how important route density is and how important it is to have, yards close together. Whether you live there or not is irrelevant. But because I lived there and because I, by default, had route density, I realized how critical that was. And I started getting rid of some of the other yards that were further away. And I always say no now to yards that are kind of out of the area. And I just keep building in those same areas. In the neighborhood that I used to live in, which I don't live in that neighborhood anymore where I started, we have like almost 30 yards in that one neighborhood now because we just grew, over time. Because you're just in there so much, people just see you everywhere, and it's like they have to call you, And then all of our customers recommend us on Facebook, when someone asks for a recommendation. So that's how you grow, and that's how you make the most profit in mowing lawns anyway, is by route density. So you don't have to drive around. You just unload, knock out a couple houses at one time, load. I mean, that's where the money's at. Even if you have to load, unload, drive to another street, load, unload, you're still making more money than driving 10, 15 minutes down the street. Yeah. So with all that, my service area was there. Then there's another HOA over here and one over there. Like the area that I happen to live in is surrounded by HOAs, all these cookie cutter, what people call cookie cutter neighborhoods, all nice and nice and well maintained, a lot of trimming and edging, keeping everything looking pristine and all that. And I enjoy that because those customers value that kind of service, and I enjoy providing that kind of service. So it's a win-win. Mm-hmm. So that's my whole service area by default because that's where I lived, and I just continue to keep growing there. So I'm not going to go away from there to find storage. So the storage unit that I have is in the area that I also live, just in a different neighborhood now, different HOA, and I also service all of these HOAs. So it's very convenient. I picked that storage area because of that. It's a little bit more expensive. So this is like a key note for people. It's a little more expensive than the one that's further away, but the one that's further away also it's not really, I don't feel as comfortable there, we'll say, in that storage area as I do as, the one over here. The one closest to me that I use now is right on the main strip, right on the main road. So you can access everything quickly, highway, down any direction, get to all the neighborhoods that we take care of, the grocery store across the street, which is where I pick up all my employees and their back overflow parking lot because there's no parking around the storage area. It's just super tight. But it's just really convenient. The self-cleaning car wash is right next to the storage. So that's where I used to, before I got my own pressure washer, that's where I would hose off all my mowers and my equipment, my truck and trailer and all that stuff periodically. I would use that all the time, clean up under the deck and all that. Again, now I have my own stuff, so I can do that at my house as far as pressure washing. But it's still there. I still use it sometimes in a pinch, like if it's at night, for if it's dark, it's all lit, so I'll go there instead of at my house and everything. So that's convenient. And then right next to that is my equipment dealer, where I buy all my mowers and I get all my stuff fixed. So you see why I'm paying a little bit more for storage unit, because it's all about location, right? It's another little real estate tip: location, location, location. So you got to pay for convenience. You got to pay for location. So I'm paying a little bit more. I mean, it's not huge, but I'm just saying it's a little bit more for the storage unit that I'm in. It's one parking spot, but they're 40-foot parking spots. So whatever you can fit in 40 feet. So I can fit 2 trailers, a truck and a trailer, whatever combination I want in that 40-foot up against the fence spot. It's like my own little area there, and they kind of they only have limited space for spots. And I was, always keeping an eye out and asking if they were available. And the people that manage that place are very nice. It's a corporate Blue and Gray Storage. It's a corporate, storage company. There's many of them around the area. And then there's different people that manage each site. So the people that manage it are very nice. They're very helpful. They let me use their garbage. So if we have a couple bags of shrub trimmings, we can toss that in the garbage at the end of the day. They let me use their hose to fill up, backpack sprayers for Roundup and stuff like that. I mean, it's just super convenient. This way I don't have to go home and do that. And, it's kind of like having a shop,
Yeah, I think that is a great point that I have heard from everybody that I have talked to that has a storage unit shop that it's working really well for them, is that they immediately were able to develop a good relationship with the management there. And I would
And
say
that's critical.
if you're looking at a spot and you're not getting, those good vibes from the
Right.
management, then it may not be the place for you.
Right. Exactly. That's critical to just like with your equipment dealer. I always say that the relationship with your equipment dealer is key because they can make you or break you. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
people like, oh, what brand mower should I pick? It's like, well, who's going to be the best? Who's going to take care of you the most? You know what I mean? I mean, the brand isn't necessarily going to take care of you. It's the dealer that the brand is in that's who you have to really focus on. Some people drive 30 minutes away to get to another dealer that they like better and that treats them right and has a brand that they want or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so
Absolutely.
again, it's all about that relationship. So yeah, that's why the whole story of the area that I'm in and why all the stuff and the storage unit that I picked, it's just right there. So the storage unit, car wash, equipment dealer, and then all of our neighborhoods all around that, behind it, sides, front, all that. Just one big circumference. We just spend, the whole week in that whole area, pick up my guys across the street. I mean, it all works out. 7-Eleven down the street, Wawa over here, plenty of places to stop for bathroom, grab something to eat, gas up, all that stuff. So it's very convenient. And so, like I said, I have a parking space and I also have a storage unit. I have a 10 by 20. Yeah, 10 by 20. So I've kind of like evolved. I've gone all over the place. It started with like a massive 10 by 40 storage unit, and I was actually backing my 5 by 10 open trailer into that when we moved. So I wouldn't take up the garage anymore because I had so much equipment too. So that was able to hold all my equipment that wasn't on the trailer, like aerators and stuff like that, spreaders and whatnot, snow blower, all that, and that was in storage. And then I had my main mowing stuff on my trailer, and I would use that back in and out. Then when I got the enclosed trailer, I obviously couldn't do that anymore. So that's when I got a parking spot, and I reduced all the way down to a 10 by 10 storage unit, and just put like those same basic equipment things in there, and then had a parking spot. But I've continued to grow, so now now I'm up to a 10 by 20 storage unit, which is what you'll be seeing, or which is what you see. Is
It's happening.
yeah, the magic. But yeah, so that it's a 10 by 20, and that holds everything right now. And the current setup that I have is I have an enclosed trailer. I also have the ramp rack, which is something new that just came out a couple years back, which is kind of back to what we talked about online previously with Marvin Salcido. It's something, instead of getting a dedicated Isuzu NPR flatbed, landscape truck to put all your mowers on, to pull a trailer. Now the ramp rack turns any pickup truck into that. So basically it hooks up to, so there's bed rails on the sides, of your truck, and you can get a headache rack, if you want, with a shelf and stuff that goes, up in the, where your window is, of your back of your truck. And all that stuff is connected to the actual ramp. The ramp actually hooks onto there, goes into your hitch mount on the bottom, which is where all the weight is supported for your mowers to come on and off. And it's a ramp. It's like a giant trailer ramp that folds down. It's a big, massive spring that helps assist it up and down. And then you can load your mowers, stand on, zero, sit down, walk behind, whatever, push mowers, all of the above. Whatever will fit in your truck, whether you have an 8-foot bed or a 5.5-foot bed, whatever you need or have. I have an 8-foot bed. I have a long bed, 3500, Ram 3500. So I got the most payload, all that stuff. It's just perfect for that. I mean, you can get any truck and just beef up the suspension, but I have stock 3500 that will accept that. So I put my stand-on mower, my 48-inch grandstand mower on there. I got a push mower on there. And then we have, on the sides, you have racks for trimmers and blowers and all that stuff. So you just don't have to pull a trailer. You just have it right on your truck and you just go. Pull up to a property, you're half the size. You can get in and out of, streets and neighborhoods and cul-de-sacs better, and get in between, park in between people and all that stuff. And in between driveways you can park now, all this stuff that I used to struggle with a lot with the trailer,
A
pulling a
bunch of
trailer.
tiny efficiency gains all
Yes,
wrapped into one.
exactly. Save on gas because you're not pulling a trailer. All the maintenance of the trailer that you go through, you're saving on expenses there. So I still have the enclosed trailer because I use it for other various things, like some of the landscape maintenance. We do take care of shrubs for our weekly clients, if they want that kind of stuff. And when aeration seeding comes, we pull in the aerators and all the stuff there and putting the seed in the bed of the truck. So, so things like that. But the ramp rack is meant for you to be able to quickly detach the ramp part, and you kind of like leave it like a plow. You just unhook it and you just drive away, and it just sits there, and you back up to it, hook it back up, and then you go, just like you would on a plow, but it's the fronts and the back. So that's a big versatility thing. So that for mowing, it's like super like dedicated. Ideally, I would like to have two trucks, one with the ramp rack for the dedicated mowing unit crew, and then the other truck, whatever truck that is, but it's the one I have now, or the other truck is the one that can pull the trailer to do more of the landscaping stuff. And when we're treating yards, doing fertilizing, spraying weeds, all that stuff, we could have a dedicated truck for that. But right now I'm kind of doubling up, multitasking, saving money and stuff by using one truck for multiple things, which is why I got the 3500 and got rid of my half-ton trucks. I had two at one point. I got rid of both of those and got a full-ton truck so that I can use it for everything, and it's more versatile and it can handle all the abuse because it's a heavy-duty truck. So that's kind of how that whole setup is. And we do have to, unfortunately, because we don't have anywhere to back that truck into, like some other people have bays and stuff to pull into, like Marvin Salcedo. So we have to unload the couple of mowers that we have and the trimmers and stuff, and we put them in storage. But I have it all set up so you can do that. There's plenty of space for, we have our aerators, on one side, got our wheelbarrows on another side. We've got our hand tools like shovels and pitchforks and things for mulch season, all on one side with the wheelbarrows. We got Cartmate, which is another cool, exciting thing that just came out this past year, was a big thing. And I was one of the first people to get that, which is you attach it to the front of any mower that you have with an attachment, with a hitch attachment that you get. And then you can put mulch in it. It's like a giant wheelbarrow, and it's got its own wheels in the front, and you could just ride your mower wherever you need to go. So if you got a mulch bed all the way in the backyard that needs 10 yards of mulch, and your 10 yards of mulch is in the front, now you don't have to huff it back and forth with wheelbarrows anymore. You could just put double the amount, because it's a bigger tub. So you can put double the amount in there and just ride it all the way to the back, lift it up, and dump it all in there, and you go back and forth. So I got that super efficient, especially when you're going uphill. I've got some backyards at 5 yards of mulch uphill in the backyard. So that used to kill us with wheelbarrows, So I'm like, man, we need something that we can just like ride up there. And then Cartmate came out. I was like, yes. So, so we got all that, it's all seasonal stuff that I keep in storage, like I said, the aerators, spreaders, hanging from the ceiling, and then, which we use for fertilizing, pre-emergent, seed, so that we use those various times, just not right now, because right now all we do is spray the weeds. So anything seasonal that we're not using, we put in storage. Otherwise, it transitions off out of storage and onto the trailer, or onto into the back of the truck with the ramp rack, whatever setup we have at that time. So it's basically always a moving process. So currently, it's the setup that you would see now is you see all the wheelbarrows, because that's mulch season's past for us, and then aerating, we're getting ready for that, another couple of months. And then we just have a spot for our mowers, backup mowers and second mowers and stuff like that. So that's pretty much how it's all set up. And I can still use the enclosed trailer for extra storage as well. So instead of having to get a bigger unit or another unit, I can just use my enclosed trailer for storage, because it holds all the stuff too. So it's got racks for trimmers and blowers, and put extra mowers in there and stuff like that. So
awesome. So it's doing double duty.
Yeah, yeah. trying to just be as efficient as possible and save a little bit of money, because it's a lot cheaper to have a parking spot than it is to have a storage unit.
Absolutely. Last question here. One of the things that we cover on these tours are like perks and things that you're providing to either that are at the shop or on the truck that just like make working for Clean Cut, a little nicer for everybody. So what do you have going on that front?
Yeah, well, one thing right off the bat that I've learned from some of my peers and mentors is, even though I don't have like a big shop or an actual shop with like power and things, is what I mean, like electricity and stuff. I mean, I could, there's a light bulb, but it's not like electricity where you can plug stuff into. They said you can do stuff to like take the light bulb out and turn it into an outlet and plug stuff in there, like for like power equipment, like tools. But I'm not gonna, I'm talking about like for refrigerators and microwaves, break room, like, you can only do so much with storage. But so, I still want to do my part. So instead of having like a fridge and a microwave and all that, I put a big cooler in there, and I load that up with ice and drinks, whether it be water, Gatorade, or Powerade, whatever's on sale that week, and ice pops and stuff, and just throw all that in there, so that in the morning, if the guys want to grab some stuff, obviously not ice pops, if they want to grab some drinks for the day, if they just to help get them through, or at the end of the day, more importantly, when they're like completely spent from the hot days that we've been having, especially this year, this season, it's been super hot and dry in Virginia. So I mean, at the end of the day, when it's 100 real feel all day, you might want to, and you went through all of your water or Gatorade, you got some fresh ice cold Gatorade or water in there, and then now you want to grab an ice pop for the road, and you cut that open and you just go to town on your way home, so that's something cool that I've learned from other people, that I try to incorporate. Even though I don't have a refrigerator, like I can still kind of turn that into a version for myself, a smaller version of that. I always have a water cooler loaded with ice on the trailer, or, my truck. If I have the ramp rack set up going, I've got a rack on the side of the truck for my cooler. I've got a 5-gallon cooler, and I just get a bag of ice and dump it in the water, and it's just like ice cold. So it's like startling cold when you drink it. And you're like, oh, and the guys like pouring it on their head in the middle of the day, and just trying to like, just trying to regroup from the heat, midday or whatever, and it stays cold, throughout the whole shift, and they fill up their water bottles with it, or the Gatorade bottles with some fresh ice water. So things like that, I try to do the best that I can to be convenient, to make it just easier for them to do their job, really, right? I mean, I also don't want people, I want people to be safe too. So I'm telling them, make sure they take breaks, get in the shade, put the AC on the truck, midway through the day. I'm not icing them all day and trying to like spoil them. It's like, you want to, you kind of ease your way into it. And by the end of the day, you're blasting the AC, trying to get your body temperature back down, and, we'll stop at different places, if they want to stop here versus there for lunch or whatever. And not like McDonald's, but like, Wawa versus 7-Eleven or something like that. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll buy them lunch or something, or buy them some drinks. Like, hey, you guys thirsty? And I'll get you get whatever you want, Gatorade, sweet tea, whatever it is. It's on me. Stuff, little things like that goes a long way. And they're like, really? I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it's just a sweet tea, but like, but they're like blown away, like, wow, thanks. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Thank you for doing a good job and showing up on time, and and getting through, bearing with this crazy heat stuff. So a lot of little things like that I try to do, and I'm always thinking of stuff, or seeing someone else doing something that really makes sense to me, that I try to incorporate.
Well, Naylor, thanks for helping us through our very first virtual tour for Lawn Care Millionaire. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. I'm glad to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, I feel confident that it's going to go really well.
All right. That's awesome. Can't wait.
All right.